but we're living in a pandemic. We're doing things a little differently. I'm Emmy, and with me as always,
I'm Samantha.
Samantha.
Yeah.
So, it's been
It's been a minute.
Unprecedented times, right? That's what we're hearing.
Before COVID too, we were just super busy. So, I mean, like we were still hanging out and seeing each other and obviously knitting a whole ton, but it wasn't like intentional, like we need a break from this. It was just like life happened in the middle, I think, but we want to bring it back.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, we still saw each other a ton, and even in pandemic times, like right now, we've seen each other twice at socially distanced, but we text all the time.
Yeah.
And I love that because, I mean, yeah, you need the support wherever you can get it. And so I love having you in my life. And it's just like these panny times we're living in, you got to focus on what you have and be grateful for it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And stay safe for sure. And make good choices, you guys, for the community, not just yourself, which we care about you too, but for everybody.
I mean, and it's funny to think in March, we were like, oh, we're just going to have to deal with this for 6 months, 6 weeks. Oh, 6 months. Oh, it's going to be a while. So we're here, we're adapting.
Did you ever like when in March, I was like, oh, I'm off work because school was like, we had a weird transitional period for teaching. And I was like, I need to knit a whole sweater before I go back. And I'm like, well, still have a lot of knitting time at home.
Yeah. I can't even remember what I was knitting in March. That was probably like 3 sweaters ago.
Yeah, I haven't knit that much since then, but I did finish my quarantine sweater, and I knit the Nurtured sweater by Andrew Mowry, which is a great one for quarantine. It's good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we both back to work now, doing well. So things are good. Yeah. What are you drinking?
So I have in my Tolt mug an apple cider tea, which is the best. I've been loving this tea all the time. And I can't have alcohol anymore because I am pregnant. So this is my stitch and stir drink for today, but it's still good. It's very festive in fall. It's good.
That's awesome. My stitch and stir drink in my Jam PDX big mug, sorry, you can see how big it is also tea because it's really cold.
Yeah.
It's a hot, spicy cinnamon tea with some milk.
Without being able to drink together, I feel like we're probably making very smart choices this afternoon.
If we could drink, we'd still just be drinking at home.
Oh, that's funny. But I think it's good tea right now. Feels really good. Like I like tea a lot, but I usually I love coffee. That's usually what I'll end up drinking. But I'm having such a strong aversion to coffee right now. Like not even by choice, like choosing not to drink as much caffeine. I just cannot stand the taste of it at all anymore.
Oh no.
Bummer. Sometimes I can get like a half calf latte and like put enough sugar and milk in it that I can't really taste it. I'm like, what's the point of this? But the smell of coffee is horrid. And
are you having any other weird cravings?
No, just like all food. But
yeah.
It like will rotate. I was like obsessed with sour cream and onion Pringles. That is like my number one thing right now. And
but the no coffee, considering a lot of people are addicted to coffee, to not want it.
I was really worried about cutting it out of my diet because I was like, well, it's probably better to have, like my doctor said I can have some caffeine still, but it's probably I was like, it's probably better. I should cut it off. And I had no choice because I thought I was going to like have headaches, and it's been fine. Like I totally adjusted. So lucky because I will barf if I'm drinking coffee.
Yeah.
It tastes so bad. Oh, which is sad. I still love it, like in my heart.
Yeah. Maybe, once the baby comes, you'll be back on it.
I hope so.
Yeah.
There's something about a good warm cup of coffee in the morning. So
totally.
Yeah.
Excellent. What projects have you finished?
So, I finished the Nurtured sweater, which I don't have with me. And it already does not fit me anymore. So I hope it fits me again eventually. But I have made a few baby things. The first baby thing I made was, I think you saw these because they had the ridiculous.
Oh my gosh. Right. We talked about how those are so extra.
They are really extra. So I made it's called the Perfect Newborn Sock, which is by Tabby Gandy, and she makes the sock blockers too, and they're ridiculous. And the crazy knitter I am, this is literally the first baby thing I bought off of Etsy. So they're really cute, like
They're so cute.
So they've just had the little socks on them. And the sock pattern's so easy, and just I hope these fit well on the baby's feet and don't, like, I mean,
they will at some point.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping right now. As long as my baby's not too big, then at some point these things will fit somewhere. And I have to kind of contemplate the weather too, because the next thing I made was, it has mohair in it, so I had to make it a lot bigger. There's something on there. There we go. Which is a teddy bear sweater.
That is so cute.
Super fuzzy.
And is it duplicate stitch, or did you embroider on the details?
It's like embroidered. So it was just really easy, just going over the stitches with yarn. But it's soft. And I think I was a little late to the game with mohair, but I'm kind of obsessed right now still. So I think it's had its time, and people are maybe moving away from it now as far as a trend, but I was late, and now I'm on it hard. So that's
I think it'll be around for a little bit more. I think as people realize, especially in the winters, they're like, oh, it is so much warmer.
Yeah, and it's the mohair now you can get is so soft. This one I did with the Rowan Kid Silk, and I have the fingering weight yarn I used for it too has cashmere in it. So it was really nice. I just picked because of the colors, because I really wanted this kind of beigey tan color for the bear rather than dark brown. And that was what was available at my local yarn store. So it worked out.
Yeah. Oh, that's a sweet little baby bear. You're going to have the softest baby.
I hope this will fit a year from now. That's what I'm hoping. And we'll see. Because I'm having the baby in March. So we'll see. If not, I'm this is so cute. I love it anyways.
For the second baby.
Oh, I don't know. We'll see. And then I did a crochet project where I made this little bear.
So cute.
So it's cute. And I contemplated putting there's my backside. It's terrible. I'm not very good at crochet anymore because I just knit all the time and don't ever practice. But I just used my scraps from random projects. And yeah, it was very hard to find safety eyes that were the right size for this bear. But
they look good.
It was good. Yeah. So those are mine that I have to show off. What do you have?
I actually just pulled up my Ravelry page because I was like, have I been knitting a lot? But yes, I've knit a ton in the quarantine.
You knit a lot. You're really good about managing your projects so that you finish things. Unlike me, I just usually my bed. I'm have a bed behind me in this room, and it's just covered with yarn and projects. So.
Well, I don't consider myself a monogamous knitter, but I like to keep my whips under control and at least have a plan for each one. This one is my work whip. It's the one that lives in my office. I do it during meetings. So this one's my TV watching whip, and this one's my travel whip. So that's kind of how I designate them. So yeah, I've had a ton of whips, mostly sweaters, of course. But I have been into brioche, and I've been knitting a lot of brioche hats. The Harlow hat by Andrea Maury is just that's my purse project always. I've always got one, but I wanted something bigger. So my recent FO is the satellite shawl, and it's garter stripes and brioche.
Oh, I love that pattern so much because it's just so interesting.
Yeah, and so we went on a trip at the beginning of October. We just did a 7-day camping trip to national parks, and it was amazing. And this was the perfect project for it because there was just enough interest for those long drives. And then the brioche was perfect for the fireside
now
in the evenings.
Between the brioche sections, is it short row stripes, right?
Yeah. Short. So it's basically what shawl dreams are made of. Short rows, garter stitch, brioche. And the whole time I was contemplating my color choices, I was like, I don't know if I'm crazy about them, but I think as a whole, they ended up pretty great. A lot of the projects on Ravelry are really subtle. And so it was hard to see mine compared to the really intentional color choices that people have. Because I feel like I have a problem with intentionality in choices.
What
color.
do you know what yarn you used? Do you remember?
So this is actually really bright neon. It's neon peach by Mad Tosh, which I think I got from you when you did a D-stash, and I think I took it out of one of your D-stashes.
Huh.
The brown is Farmer's Daughter in the colorway Paul Newman, which is like, this is just, I'm getting to the scraps of it. I'm trying to use it in everything. It's such my favorite colorway. The main gray.
We're looking at that at Knitting Bee, that color.
Yeah.
Did you buy
no.
Okay, or did you buy the skein? I remember.
I went back like 3 times to buy all the skeins.
I remember, because you just popped in while I was working and you're like, I might come back for this.
No, I think I came back like the next day and got the rest of them. Yeah. And then just, I mean, and it was all stash, and it wasn't my plan with any of the stash to make this shawl. So it was kind of nice to shop the stash for that, which I've been doing great also in quarantine. It's really like, we're like, support small businesses, Knitting Bee is gone now. And so we've got like, I haven't been working at Starlight since Yarn Crawl. So I'm like not around the yarn that I need to be.
That was the last time I worked at Knitting Bee, besides for teaching a class. I taught a class the next Tuesday, and that was the last time I went in before like we had our lockdown orders here in Oregon. And school closed, so I was I was like, if my full-time job is closed, I probably shouldn't be doing other things too. But yeah, because Knitting Bee closed in July, I believe, in the summer.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been like super missing it. I really love talking to people about yarn and knitting, and I mean, I like talking to my friends about it too, but like just talking to customers, oh man. And just being around.
That's what I miss most. Yeah, getting people excited about their projects, like helping pick out projects. And and I bought more of the Paul Newman when Knitting Bee was closing, because I was like, well, I got some DK in it too.
I could have a whole podcast episode about what I bought when closing, because I was like, oh, I know. Like, I was like, also, I wanted to have like a project that I will make that I can remember my time there. So I bought like 1 sweater quantity for that, and then I was like, well, I kind of just like broke the seal and kept going, but bought a lot of Brooklyn tweed, so it was good to like, I now I have like, my stash was already out of control, but
so I've been good about yarn purchases. At the beginning. It's picking back up again, but I bought a lot of project bags during quarantine.
You were telling me that. Wait, I want to see them.
So a lot of my whips are in project bags.
Yeah, you can like show them off as we go.
Yeah. So are we ready to talk about whips?
Yeah, sure. Do you want to show, like, do you want to alternate?
Yeah. So I'll show my first most active whip. Project bag is a Plystre bag, which I got from Fancy Work in Bend.
Nice.
I did a little COVID trip to see my sister in June. And just did a quick run in. So this is an unreleased pattern. It's a test knit for Tami Gore.
I love
super fun
so much.
I know. So this graphic color work was so fun, so hard. There's 3 colors there, which is like not my jam, but like 2 color work. Oh, I can do that for days. And it's a Swoncho shape. So it's kind of like similar to the Tecumseh shape, in that the yoke's a little deeper. The arms are nice and snug. And I just have second sleeve.
Wow, you got it.
Brooklyn tweed dapple. So that's going to be really nice, because it's going to be, what I'm loving about it is like it's multi-seasonal. So this is a 60-40 wool cotton.
Yeah.
And
that
so
you can wear well in fall and spring when it's starting to like transition, and the like heavier wool sweaters are a little warm.
Yes. So that's my most active whip. I'm really excited about finishing it so I can start another project.
Yeah. That's cool. I like that. It's like a mustard gold color bag too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Yeah. That's good.
Yeah. It's nice because it's drawstring, but it's got a strap. So I've used it as a purse several times.
Oh, yeah. I use my Fringe bags as, if I'm taking a knitting project with me, I just like throw my wallet in there.
Yeah.
That's good. I have one. Let's see, which one should I show first? This one, as you were saying earlier, that you have like projects that you did at certain times and you're kind of intentional about that. This one was like my Zoom knitting, especially when I was in like trainings for work and back to school. So that seems like a really long time ago now, but it really was only like the beginning of September. And I started the Hansel Hap by Gudrun Johnston, which is like a shawl / blanket, and it is like knit in just this like big square. You start here at the point and then increase as you go, and then I've gotten to the point where I'm, going on the other side of the square, decreasing, and it has like a leaf border, but it's like shawl / baby blanket kind of thing.
Do you keep the edges live, and then are you going to pick it up?
So it has like yarn overs, so you pick up the stitches through the yarn overs at the beginning of the row, which sounds hard if you've never done like a yarn over as the first stitch, but it's super easy once you figure it out. And I took a class with her years ago, like in like 2014 or something. It was 2013. It was a while ago. And it was like a wonderful class about Shetland haps, and then just the techniques for, doing this shawl. And she has a version that's like the full square, and then she has a version that's like a half square, like a triangle. So I've done that one before. But like in the pictures of these, it's like all like either mama's wearing them or like wrapping the baby in it. So I thought it'd be good.
That's sweet. What are you knitting it in?
This is
What's the yarn?
Brooklyn Tweed Loft. So this one's the button jar.
That's gonna be so snuggly.
It's like real cuddly. And then I had it in stash, and then I'm gonna use some just like varying brown shades for the borders parts. So really, I'm not very far from being done with this actually, which I need to like. I'll finish it before the baby's here, but
yeah, you've got a good deadline.
Yeah, and it was my Zoom knitting because it's just garter stitch, and so it was really easy to just like I can talk and work and do it underneath the table basically. Yeah, I don't think anyone cares, but because I'm paying attention.
Zoom knitting's the best until you have to like stretch your yarn, and then you're like pulling your hand this way, and you're like, oh crap! Did they see that? Did they notice that?
Someone did notice when I was in a meeting once, but there was like another woman also knitting. She's like, here's my socks. I'm like, so I was like pulling my yarn. It was funny.
Again, what do non-knitters do during meetings?
I know. Well,
play on their phones.
There are some like very fit people, like the PE teachers at my school, like obviously, and they'll be exercising while the Zoom is going on, and it's like hilarious. And also I'm like, oh, this kind of looks nice, like them walking on a treadmill with the Zoom on there. I was like, that's
so distracting though, if they're like
they are
hopefully muted.
Sometimes you can hear the footsteps or something, you're like, what is going on? But usually it's like, we're all muted anyways, so it doesn't matter much. I've definitely done things during Zoom meetings. I was like cranking socks at my friend's house on her sock machine during a meeting once. So I'm just like wearing headphones. Yeah. But we were outside, and I was just borrowing her sock machine. I'll disclaimer that. And I am not seeing anyone anymore. Because I realized like our cases here for COVID are worse than they were when we like first locked down. Yeah. So you gotta be more careful. Yeah. So, do you have another one?
I do, but I want to see those socks too when you get to it. So this is called the Yori Sue. It's just a brioche triangle. I'm kind of in the middle of the row. But it's, the pattern was made for worsted weight. Here's the lighter side so you can see that. I'm just using a DK, and I'm just going to go till I run out. This is a gift knit, which is so rare for me, but it's for someone that's definitely deserving of it.
What's a gift knit?
I know. Project bag. It's in a Fringe field bag that I got from
ones.
Yeah. So Ravelry D-Stash. I will always talk Ravelry D-Stash, especially now that you can't get field bags fresh anymore. People are selling them, and they go super fast. But if you're like me and on Ravelry several times a day looking for D-Stashes, you can get things like the bright yellow Fringe field bag. So yeah, if you're looking for anything, let me know what you're looking for. I would love, what I see on them every once in a while are the Hohi leather bags. Oh, and I really want one of those.
Yeah, you're the queen of D-Stash on Ravelry because I was just thinking as you said that, the nurtured sweater I made during like my quarantine sweater at the start of lockdown, it was from Ravelry D-Stash yarn, and it was awesome. So I had it in my stash. I bought it for something else and it didn't quite work for the gauge, and so I like swatched for a gauge I liked and then found a sweater pattern for it, which ended up being nurtured, which was perfect.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So the yarn I'm using for this brioche shawl is Entropy DK, which is like a fun hand spun, and Kelborn Scout. And I'm just going till I run out of yarn. So I don't think it'll be very big, but with gift knitting shawls, a lot of people just don't know how to wear them. So I'm not worried about it. I mean, like, as long as it's functional and you can get one wrap, you know, that's all I'm going to kind of teach, you know.
Just tie it around. That's how I first started wearing shawls. And before you get used to like wearing something larger on your shoulders too, I think it feels kind of awkward for how to wear it. And I think there's like a weird spot for me, at least, where if it's too medium size and it's not really huge where I can wear it like really good on my shoulders or wrap it around a lot, then it's like awkward. Like my only choice is really wearing it as like a large handkerchief style one.
Yeah, and I think if I truly can't get it to a good size for wrapping multiple wraps, I will just add a button and make a little loop.
Like the tie things. We had at what they were really cool. They were like upcycled leather belts and things.
Yeah, the shawl straps.
I don't know.
Or wraps. Yeah, I've used bracelets for mine.
Yeah, or like just like the clips that they have. Like I know Spin Cycle has those kind of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, those buckles. Those are cool. Or just graft it together.
Yeah, just turn it into a cowl. That's
It looks potential like way too big for that, so don't. Yeah,
it's definitely beyond cowl, but I think it might be good, just like one button.
And what was the pattern for that one again?
Yeah, it's called Yori Sue by Denise Itano, and we'll put that in the show notes.
Yeah.
She designed it for Seattle Yarns, which I think is a yarn store, and I think maybe during their crawl. I really was just looking for like, again, because I'm on such a brioche kick, I was like, big brioche triangle, and found exactly that.
Yeah, that's cool. I want to do some more brioche projects because it's very rhythmic and like you get into kind of a groove, which I feel like I've been enjoying in my projects recently, like textured kind of things where you can like, it's like back and forth kind of rhythmic. Yeah.
Which is finish that row so you can see the shape better.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, that hand spun yarn in brioche is, or like that color change is so gorgeous. It's very interesting.
Yeah. Is your next whip socks?
It is a sweater. I'm like, you want to see the sock tubes actually?
I do. Okay. I really want to see the sock tubes.
Let me grab them because they're here in the room so I can show you. I have so many sock tubes though. Okay. I'll show you an FO and then I'll show you my sock tubes. So I did like these festive socks. These are old Ritual Dyes colorway. That's it's called Tidings and it was like a Christmassy one.
Oh yeah.
And they're so soft. I love this yarn for socks. Because it's like, I don't know, it feels really good. I'm gonna sneeze. We'll try to
cut that out.
Okay. We'll see if I can. I'm like, it's not coming now, so it's really awkward.
See if you can stop recording fast enough.
I can cut things out, not too bad. Okay. So these were my socks that I finished. I finished a few pairs because I just do afterthought cuffs, heels, and toes, and like cut in the heel. But I have an obsession now. Not even all. Oh my gosh. But like I had so much stash yarn, and
that is so many socks.
It is a lot of socks. And my friend has a sock machine. She cranked this one for me, this whole thing. And we like do yarn trades, or like I'll pay her to do it because it does take time. Or we'll have like a little party and I'll sit there and crinkle while we're hanging out. So that's how I got like some of these, was I went over to her house. Well, this is like in November of last year, which I haven't finished them all. I'll like cut out a pair and then do those, and then like, okay, which one next? But I have a lot of like Christmassy colors in here that I can do soon. Like this one I have from Nomadic Yarns.
Oh yeah.
Letters to Santa. And like, I kind of hate knitting socks. So
Me too.
doing the but I love doing the afterthought toes, heels, and cuffs on them. And I love wearing hand knit socks. So this is like the perfect, compromise for me.
Yeah.
So obviously I'm gonna have a very nice sock collection once I finish all of these. But I really want to do like have festive socks for Christmas. I'm like really into Christmas. So Amy Florence, the Stranded podcast, she has like a festive sock knit along, and she has a box of festive socks that's 25 pairs of socks for every day of Christmas for December up to Christmas. So goals one day.
Does it count as a knit along if you're just doing the heel toe cuff?
Yeah, because she has a sock machine too, and she'll do that sometimes. She'll hand knit them as well, but I don't know if it is usually. She basically has no rules this year for the knit along because of COVID. Like she's just like, screw it, do whatever you want. Like bring joy to yourself. Like that's how this works. So I think I submitted these ones into it since I finished them, and I did some Halloween socks, and I ordered more Nomadic Yarns because their self-striping is so cool and so fun to do.
It is so satisfying.
Yeah, and I've learned Nomadic Yarns does 50-gram skeins, and if you have mini skeins or like just solid colors of yarn in your stash, that's plenty for a good size pair of socks for me. And I have big feet, like I have size 10 or 11 women's shoe and very long foot. Like I always look at my finished socks and the foot of them look very long, but it's totally plenty for my socks. And I don't like my socks to go up super high either because my calves are pretty large, and so it feels tight around them if I keep that 64 stitch all the way up. But, so 50-gram skeins, I'm like, I can buy 2 skeins for the price of 1, or split a skein with a friend too. So that's
awesome.
What I've been doing. Yeah. Do you have another?
I do.
You have lots of whips, right?
Yeah. So I'm showing 4 whips total, which is a lot for me. This one I'm going to show you is kind of active hibernation. Also a gift, which is why I'm like, I don't feel that much pressure to hurry on it. But it's a lefty shawl.
Oh, that's
by Martina Bam. These are great little shawls, and the yarn I'm using is this beautiful Verb for Keeping Warm, the Pioneer yarn.
Yeah.
And so this was previously available only in the club, but I got it from Ritual Dye's free fiber library, and I just want to plug it because it's such a cool way to find yarns you would never use, to donate yarns you're not going to use. Like I had some really pretty like single skeins fingering, like there's a lot of, like these skeins you're never going to use, but are just taking up space. And I no longer feel guilty for just owning them. Can go to that fiber library and I know someone's going to get it. So same, like somebody got this kit and was like, this will be something cool someday. And
stuff in there. And so if you haven't heard of it, it is like a little free library, but for fiber and for yarn. And it's on Division and
12th-ish in front of the Ritual Dyes storefront.
Yeah.
So I definitely recommend checking it out if you're local. Drop some stuff off. There's also like books, technique books, old magazines, fiber, some knitting supplies. So if you're new to knitting and don't really know what kind of fibers you like, it's a great way to kind of experiment, see what people are, that's kind of the yarns I give, where some yarns that I like experimented with and then didn't need the full skein, or like made a hat, didn't need a full skein.
And people have such preferences about fiber and everything where you might have a lovely skein, but it's just like not for you. And like kind of just sharing the love. Like when I went and checked it out, when I popped into Ritual to see you, that there was good stuff in there. It was cool. Like I can think like I don't really love knitting with alpaca yarn, but like other people love it. So like if I donated like alpaca, like someone will find that. They'll love it. So it's like such a cool community concept.
It is. And project bag for that is a Fancy Tigers pouch.
So cute. You got fun.
And that was gifted from when my parents went to Denver. Nice. Fancy Tiger is definitely a bucket list yarn store for me.
It's great.
I mean, craft store. Yeah.
I've only been to Denver once, and it was for work, and I like took an Uber by myself there just to go.
Yeah.
So it was like my one free afternoon. I was like, I'm gonna go to this yarn store. It was a great shop. It's really cute. Nice people. And they have a great website too.
Yeah.
With like all different stuff, like lots of sewing and things.
Fabric,
too. So my second whip, because I'm not really working on the socks. I would not count that as a whip. Those are like, maybe I'll finish them someday.
Yeah. No, those are like when you need a pair of socks, you get a pair of socks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like if I get a hole in one, just make a new one.
Exactly.
So I'm making a cardigan for myself. And I was really inspired. I'm like, I love the Little Bobbins podcast. She doesn't really do a lot of them anymore. I don't know if you know her, Danny. She does sock patterns too, but I'd been watching her for a long time. And she had a baby, maybe it was 2 years ago or a year ago, and she knit this cardigan, Like a Cloud by Joji Locatelli, and she was wearing it when she was very pregnant, and she just finished it like right before she had her baby. And I just wanted something like very easy to work on, because I don't know, with COVID stress, with the election stress, with like school stress, with baby stress, like I just want something very meditative and something that I know I can wear, like with my size changing so drastically. And so I cast this sweater on, and I love it so much. It's super easy, but super cozy. And I'm doing it with 2 yarns held double. One is a House of Almode yarn in a single space.
Oh, it's beautiful. You've had that for a while.
I've had this this was like the golden skeins in my stash that I like did not want to ruin, use, because I was like, I love this so much. Like, I need a really good project for it. And so that's how I could justify how much yarn is going into this, because I'm holding mohair with it double. So it's like 10 skeins of yarn, which is absurd and very luxurious. So I have Madeline Tosh mohair, which is their impression yarn. And it's glazed pecan. And so
those are beautiful.
They're going together really nice. And so here's the sweater. Let me get
and as much as we love mohair, a lot of people can't tolerate it. So it's nice to mention that Surrey alpacas are great.
That's true.
The weight is a little different, but it's a good alternative and just as fuzzy, maybe even warmer.
And Danny, the girl I was mentioning who made this, who inspired me to make it, she made it with just a single strand of fingering weight yarn, because the original pattern is technically 2 lace weight strands. And so mine's just a little bit more dense. It's going to be like more dense, more wintry. But it's like this texture. It's so squishy and it's super easy. The pattern's like pretty easy for a cardigan. It's top down, but it's like just rectangles. So it doesn't have a lot of shaping or anything in it. And you just start at the back and then pick up the pieces for the front. So I'm almost at the armholes, because it's quite large drop shoulder. And so somehow this does fit me, but, and then it's just going to be a loose open front in the front, and it's so cool.
What's the stitch pattern? That's not just stockinette.
No, it is just like a knit and pearls, and with some stockinette rows in between.
Oh, that's really cool.
Like a 2x2 rib broken up pattern. So and that's all over like the whole sweater. So it's super easy, because I can just kind of look and see what row I'm on of the pattern, and there's literally no shaping. And I know once I get this panel done to this size, that I just join it and go back and forth until it's long enough. And I'm planning on stopping doing the body somewhere like a few inches after I join. So I do the sleeves first. And then I'll just probably knit until I like the length or run out of yarn, which is that's the good part of that.
Well, when you feel you need motivation on that, let me know and I'll coach you through it, because again, you've got a timeline. You're going to look so cute in that with a big belly poking out of that cute little cardigan front.
And really, I do have a timeline for this because it is such a mohair heavy sweater. Like, I can't wait too long because then I won't be able to wear it until next year. But yeah, I thought it would be really cute. And I love this color. So it's a good color for me.
Beautiful.
And I knit this like during election week. I know a lot of people literally could not knit because it's so stressful.
Your tension's like...
Last election, I was working on the second of a pair of fingerless mittens, and the second one was like totally ruined because it was so tight. The second one, I held them up at the end of the night. I'm like, oh, well, that's not good. But this was,
and it was not just a night this year. It was,
like a week.
4 days.
Well,
yeah. Like 5.
Well, I mean,
it was 4 years.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, well, a week of like extra stress. But
it was 4 years of tension.
To just sit and watch and work on that. But it was good. I could like just kind of work on something. And so I've still been doing that as like my TV knitting in the evening. So that's what I've been. This is kind of like what I'm like monogamous until I have like this shiny moment. And so
I was gonna say, I don't think you are.
I know, no. I can be monogamous for a few weeks and I'll get a lot done on a project. That's all I've worked on in like a week and a half or 2 weeks. And I'm like to the sleeve design on it, but then I will be like, ooh, shiny. So I know the ooh, shiny moment's coming up because we're gonna start something new. So
yeah.
Yeah.
My final whip is really just a swatch at this point, and it's in a Shelli can tote. She just came out with these in the black color. So make wool witch magic. I'm so excited about it. This is a great purse size too. So I didn't even have a project in it. Yeah, I was using it as a purse. So my swatch, this is gonna be another test knit for Caitlin Hunter cardigan, and it's bulky. Oh, you can't really see. But it's this, it was a mystery bulky that a dyer friend got and then died. So, but it's size 11 needles, and I'm looking forward to like, just like busting it out. It's like knitting with highlighters though. So I also feel at the end of a bulky project, when you're back on size 4s, you're like,
Yeah. Do you have a needle that's like your sweet spot? Because I can't, like 9 and above for me feels like what you said, like pens. Like I'm like, it's going down. And I think the way I knit also, like flicking with my right hand, it's weird with too big of needles. It just like
I do have to, I feel so I also tend to need a lot of breaks on those bulky projects because I could knit 4 hours nonstop, but when you're holding a needle where your like whole ergonomic is just like based on holding something the size of a pipe. Yeah.
What size do you have, a size that you like, or size yarn?
I don't mind knitting on 4s. I like 4s for fingering weight. It ends up being kind of a loose gauge, but I like that fabric.
Yeah, I like 3s and 4s and 2s. 1s I use for my socks, which I knit very loose, so I'm surprised I can get a good enough gauge on a 1 for my sock. But they feel tiny. They feel pretty small. 4 feels like nice in my hands. Yeah.
I knit with 3s most often on all those Harlow hats I make. So, and that's fingering weight.
Like for sweaters, I like a 4. I think I'm knitting this on a 3 with those 2 yarns I'll double, which I'm getting the gauge for the pattern, which is good. Even though it's like a fingering weight gauge, I don't know. I'm just letting it. Mohair can.
Yeah. I don't even count mohair as like part of the gauge.
Yeah, I mean, like it really is just about what fabric you get and if it works. Yeah. And I swatched pretty good, like a decent size swatch for it to see how it was gonna play, and it was fine. Yeah. It was good.
Do you have any more whips? I mean, I know you do. There's one I want to, I wanted to ask you about that shawl you were going to make with the steek, because I was thinking about that to make it for myself because it's so pretty.
Yes.
Yeah. Is that active hibernation?
Yeah. It's in hibernation. I've been thinking about it too, because when I started it in like June, I think, or May, it was very summery, and that's a very fall winter project that I'd wear. And now that I'm like going on like fall walks, I'm like, oh, that was what you were gonna make this for. So I don't have it done, and it's not very far from being done. I should pull it back out.
Yes, you should.
Yeah, I can't remember if I had made, this is where I get ooh shiny, is I'll make a mistake and set something down and then not fix it. And I'll literally pick it up and fix it, and because I can fix the mistakes and it's fine. I just get frustrated with it, and I'll pick it up and it will take me like 20 minutes to fix whatever the problem was. And I was like, wow, that was silly. I didn't work on this for 3 months. That's just my personality. And as long as like I don't feel too guilty or shamed about it, I don't care.
Shamed by me.
Yeah, I'm like, whatever. I'll finish it eventually, right? I was like very far in it, so it'll get done.
Good.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous sweater. Shawl. I'll try to pop in. I don't know if I can do this, but maybe I'll link it in the show notes or pop in a picture. Because it's by Fiber Tales, and it's a hop down like normal triangle shaped shawl, but you steek the edge because it's all color work. So it's really cool. Interesting collection. That was like, I think that was within the time of when I was home and I was like too bored and I really needed something crazy to work on, because I had to like sit with the pattern and do every row with the pattern. So yeah,
the charts are awesome on that one.
Yeah, that's cool. And I'm like obsession with Brooklyn tweed forever. Sure.
Do you have any other whips?
I don't. Those are the only. That's like, I've been on that sweater really only.
Good. Like I said, if you need motivation, just text me and I'll talk you through it.
Yeah.
I'll browbeat you through it.
Like, you have to finish it.
Yeah.
I know. Maybe what I need to do is like, this seems very unlikely because of how I'm treating COVID, but like if I did like maternity pictures or something, then I would wear it for that, and that would be like a hard deadline, but I don't know if I'll do that because I'm literally not seeing anyone and not leaving my house right now. So
yeah.
Okay. Maybe I will.
Yeah. Yeah. Just use a tripod.
Yeah. I that's how I take pictures of myself usually. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we're gonna have a big whip coming up because we have some plans for a winter knit along.
Yeah.
A winter spring knit along. But it's a big knit.
Winter.
And I think we're giving ourselves a generous timeline. We are going to knit the Penguono by Stephen West. Yay!
I know you're super excited about it because you've been wanting to make this, right, for a while.
I have, and I've loved this sweater. But I know it's not a beginner sweater. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of yarn. It's a lot of time, and it's not going to be the instant gratification sweater I usually need. Like top-down raglan or yoke, I'm like, sweet, sweater in 3 weeks. This is what I get.
Now,
this is going to take me.
At least it's not like fingering weight, though. I mean, like, it's either like, I think for the sizes, I think we're doing the same size, right? And it's like a worsted or Aran gauge.
Yes, it's DK or worsted.
Oh, DK or worsted, yeah.
That's for the 54-inch bust.
Yeah, that's
so So I just have there's the pattern. There's a little picture right there.
That's awesome.
So it's a big boxy jacket, oversized, squishy. It's going to be one of those things that like, I feel like I'll only be able to wear around knitters because knitters will get it. Non-knitters will see me wearing it and be like, that's crazy. Based on just, I'm going to be using scraps. I have a lot of like leftover sweater pieces to use. Have you read the pattern much?
I've looked through it. I know it's very like modular.
It is, and it's sizing based on gauge only. So no matter what size you're knitting, you're casting on 50 stitches and you're knitting this many rows.
Yeah.
So I was like, when I was first started, I was like, gauge doesn't matter because it's just a modular sweater. You just add pieces till it fits. Yeah. So then I read the pattern and I've already done 3 swatches.
Oh no, I was planning on just like swatching as I go. Maybe I really need to
I think we're going to end up having to swatch each section based on what yarns you're going to use.
I might just let it turn out however it turns out.
So that's also...
I'd like to have it fit how I like, because I have another sweater that is a similar like shape, even though it was not the same construction at all. And it fits me slightly too large, and so it's a little awkward. Like I like this one. I've seen people in it and it's very oversized if it's oversized, and I kind of don't want it to be as big.
Yeah, but you still want that like luxe look of like
cozy, but not
or like
giant.
Tiny girl in a big sweater, like one of those.
I don't usually get that effect, so it's just like bigger sweater.
Yeah. So let me show you my 3 swatches that I think this made sense for me based on the scraps that I have and my plans for it. And they're kind of unblocked, but my goal is, I just did them this morning.
Yeah.
So because I'm using scraps, I wanted to make a swatch for kind of each combination I'm going to have, so I have an idea that it's going to be within gauge. So this is 2 sport and 1 fingering weight. And this is a dense fabric, but I got gauge.
Yeah, see, you can play with the needle sizes to get the gauge, right? I think that's the same kind of concept I'm doing, where a lot of people would treat like a lace mohair and a fingering as a DK, and I'm treating it as a fingering weight in that pattern. So I think so 2 sport and a fingering, that would be a lot more dense to get a DK worsted weight gauge.
So and I used a size 10.5 for all of these. That's the recommended needle size. So based on these, knowing what I have coming up, I'll be able to go up or down on the needle. This is a DK plus 1 fingering.
Yeah.
So it's a little under gauge, but the fabric is a lot stretchier.
This is going to be a very interesting project.
Yeah. I think I'm going to have to think more than I'm used to thinking, which is like, as a product knitter, and I'll always admit this, like I knit for a finished product. I don't knit for like the beautiful process of knitting. Like it's awesome, but I want to wear a sweater. So I think this is going to force me to be more intentional than I thought. Like going into this, I was like, oh, I'm just going to get my scraps and make a sweater. No, I'm going to have to think about it. And while my color panels may not be intentional, my gauge is going to have to be, because if I use, like 2 DK on one of the panels here and like 3 fingering here, is that going to feel symmetrical when you're wearing it?
Yeah.
And then my final swatch, and this is almost the exact same as the 2 sport 1 fingering. This is 3 fingering.
That's super interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like you could think, okay, I'm getting gauge, but like the fabric really does make a difference for the overall piece if it's going to have different sections, because it will feel weird. And then it might not hold up as well if there's sections that are very dense and heavy and dragging things down or stretching things out. Because it is a very large sweater too. So.
Yeah, in just doing this swatch, I'm like, okay, my sleeves are going to need to be the same weights so that they feel right. The front panels so that they hang right. I think the wiggle room will come from like the kind of back side panels, and you can kind of alternate those. But it looks like this like effortless mess of a sweater that you can just like throw on and complete a chic outfit.
It's like a Technicolor Dreamcoat kind of like.
Yeah. But I'm gonna have to think.
Now I'm hearing you talk. Now I'm realizing that the yarn I pulled yarn from Stash, and I think I only have fingering weight. Oh, this is not true as I'm looking in the bucket, but I was gonna say I only have fingering weight worsted, but I think I do have like 1 sport or DK in here. A few maybe, but I mostly have fingering weight. I made like a whole basket full of yarn here, which y'all can tell my stash is this. But
I love it.
So I have like whites, pinks, purple, some gold, and like a wee bit of black. Mostly I have like so many pink skeins and stuff. Like purple and
so yeah, I would recommend kind of doing similar swatches, like of each combination you're going to think of using.
Like 3 fingerings together. Yeah.
But we are going to get through our scraps and our stash doing this, which is also super exciting. Yeah. I haven't pulled all the yarn I'm going to use because I'm probably going to pull it as I get to it, but I've separated it by weight.
That's good.
My scraps and stash.
Ooh. Yeah, it's exciting. I need to, after we finish filming, I figured I would swatch because we could talk about what our plans were. And we were talking about maybe having a hard deadline for ourselves, right?
Yeah.
So that I will finish of February 13th, right?
Yeah, Galentine's, and starting on Thanksgiving. So since everyone's canceling plans this year anyway, you're going to be home. Just start casting on a big, beautiful sweater. You know, wait for your significant other to finish cooking. Get hungry all day, but at least you can be knitting.
So you can swatch now for sure, I think, if you're interested in doing it, because that's what we're doing.
And I think especially if you're using stash like we are, this is going to be, such an incredible stash buster. Yeah. Swatching is going to be important to kind of see what fabric you like. Yeah. I think I like I like them all.
I like dense. I want even if it's not super huge, like if it can close in the front and it's like squishy.
Yeah.
That's what I'm aiming for.
Yeah, and basically all three of these could easily block to the same size. Yeah. So that was kind of a nice goal for me to see. Like I guess now that I'm thinking about it, I won't have to work as hard with the gauges, but yeah, I'll be fine with the gauges, but again, just making sure that they feel the same.
Yeah.
So that I don't go crazy.
I think the feel is probably the most important. If you find kind of a good needle size probably, and then not going too far out of the range of how many yarns you're adding, I think it will kind of stay similar.
Yeah. I know that the welts on the back, I'm going to try to do just solid worsted for those. I think because of how welts are made, since they're stockinette and then folded, it'll be easier to not be working with multiple strands.
Smart. That's good. I do have some worsted in mine too. I have some like Malabrigo Rios that I can use.
Such a great worsted.
Yes, that's like my fave.
Yeah, and the pattern is 1,000,000 pages long, but it's really helpful and it tells you like where to start on each one. And so I think that it's really made to be even though I said it's not a beginner friendly, because then you see pictures like this one.
Yeah, I think the individual parts are not hard. Like there's not a lot of crazy techniques, but it's like you have to get through a part and then like relook at the pattern, relearn what to do, know where to pick up stitches, and be flexible with it, if that makes sense.
Totally.
It's not a beginner. I don't think it's like crazy hard, but
no. Yeah, it's not because of the techniques.
Yeah.
The knitting techniques, but because of the construction techniques. I knit the Parachute, which is a Stephen West vest, and that is looking similar to this. And I think, and that took me a long time to finish because there was a lot of pickup and knits.
I'm thinking of, I did a baby sweater, the L'Envelope, which is by Isabel Teague, and it has like it's like side to side construction, and then you have like those little flap things that make the baby sweaters easy to take off. And it was like, it wasn't hard, but it was like weird because it's not something I've done before. The technique, like it was like, I'm like, where do I turn it? Like where am I picking up stitches? And it like, you just kind of have to like really hope you're reading the instructions right and go with the flow also and just pull it out if you get it wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like, this is crazy. It was good.
Yeah. So we haven't really talked much about where we're going to run the knit along. Do you want to do it on Ravelry or Instagram?
I would love to do it on Instagram.
Yes. So I think we'll come up with a hashtag, and really, we don't know who's watching. We don't know how many people are into this with us, but this is at least accountability for us.
Yes. Yeah, you can go on the hashtag and shame us, basically.
Yeah. Basically comment on our post and tell us to get it done.
Exactly. Just
cheer. Which I have one test knit, and I was just approached for a sample knit that I'm like, maybe I'll do it for you. So
second project, and then I have my sweater too.
yeah,
We can knock them out.
and we've given ourselves 4 months.
Is that
I
really
mean,
4 months? No, it's not.
Okay, 3 months.
3. It's
yeah.
And okay, December, like I will not count as a full month. Because December is always crazy.
Yeah, that's why we're going out to February.
What was that?
That's why we're going out to February.
Yeah.
So it can just be like.
You think you could do a Penguono in a month?
No. I could do a top-down raglan, no shaping in 2 weeks.
That's fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bulky I could do. I think top down or even bottom up sweaters, if it's basic and it's a raglan or drop shoulder, I can do in 4 weeks comfortably, because
if it's the only thing you're knitting.
Yeah, I just get distracted, and when I sit and knit, I knit fast, but I don't probably knit every day anymore. So that's kind of how much time I'm doing. That kind of influences it. And honestly, like when I worked at Knitting Bee, even though I was working 6 days a week, I think I knit more than ever, because I was just so like all around it, and it was just like all encompassing. Like I just wanted to be doing it all the time. So
and you need the stress release more.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, working at the yarn shop was still like stress relieving for me, because it was doing something I loved so much. But like being on my feet 6 days a week was difficult.
Yeah.
I would get tired more than grumpy.
And it's hard right now because the sun's setting at 5, so I'm going to sleep at 7. And that's like my normal knitting time from 7 to 9.
I went to bed last night at 8:45. So.
Yeah. I love the tweet that's like, the hardest thing about staying up till midnight is looking at the clock and realizing it's 6 p.m.
Oh, I never stay up till midnight anymore.
Yeah.
I really have to be doing something really interesting to stay up late. And now, the only other time I really used to was when SNL was on, and now they've moved it so it's early for our West Coast. So I'm like, perfect. I don't have to stay up that late.
Yeah. And I don't even, I have stayed up late to finish a row, finish a sleeve, I stayed up till like almost 11 to finish a book last night.
You have to be in something, right? Like that. Yeah, a book. Yeah, or like watching a show or something. Yeah,
but prime knitting time in winter when it's, I mean, I get, I told Chris, I get winter amnesia. Like I forget how, this is a heated throw. Like I forget how cold and dark it is every summer. I'm like, yay, summer, it's never going away. And then it's winter and I'm like, was it this bad last year?
And I saw like the preliminary weather reports for winter, and it's supposed to be cold and wet this year. So we might have another snowed in moment where that's when I knit a lot for sure.
Definitely. I feel like every time there's a snow, I like to challenge myself to like knit a whole sweater too. Like I'm going to be snowed in for 3 days. I'm going to knit a sweater in 3 days. And then it never snows, or I don't knit a sweater.
That's funny. Yeah.
But cast on with us on Thanksgiving. We've got a lot to be thankful for despite the nightmare of a year it's been.
Yeah. And maybe even if you come up with a project that uses a lot of stash, or the Scrappy or another Stephen project to share.
The Stephen West, he's got a bunch of new modular scarves that came out, a triangle and a rectangle, and they look log cabin-y.
Yes.
And I feel like those would be great scrap projects. And if we can use up our scraps at the end of the year, 2021, we can replace all of that stash with some fresh yarn.
That would be my motivation.
Yeah.
We need it.
Even if we finish by yarn crawl, which is 10 days, this is gonna be 10 days in 2021. Think of all the space that my yarn cabinet will have. And I'm not a stasher, so I'm like, want to get rid of these scraps so I can.
My stash lives in this closet behind me, and it explodes sometimes. It's like on display around me now too.
Yeah, it's mood. You can like string it up, like all your red and green yarns you should string up for Christmas.
That'd be cute.
Yeah.
I do have a good amount of those colors. I don't like them together unless it's Christmas, but I like them separately.
It's Christmas.
I love red.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us for our show and our revival of our podcast.
Yeah, I hope you got to just sit and knit along with us, and find us on the Instagrams. That's where we will be most active.
Yeah, that's the easiest place. And we are we'll post updates on our Penguonos there as well.
Yes, and let's have a good cheers. Woo! And take a screenshot. Hey, show the sheep side. Cheers. All right, thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you next time on Stitch and Stir.